So, hello everyone. I'm Rupesh Kumar and welcome to today's session on Introduction to Programming in C. So, I hope my voice is clear to you all. Any one of you can just message me a message on the chat so that I can confirm. So, can anyone confirm on chat that my video is coming and my audio is also clear to you? Hello, am I audible? Anyone? Great. So I get a message that says yes. So fine. So I hope my video is also clear and my audio is also clear to you all. Okay, fine. So now we'll wait for maybe 2 to 3 more minutes and then we'll start the session. So this session is being recorded, so you all will get a recording of this session. So I'm Rupesh Kumar and I'm a PMRF TA and NPTEL TA for the course Introduction to Programming in C. So this is the second session. So today is February 2, 2024, and this session is held on Fridays every week. So make sure you join these sessions and enjoy problem solving with me. And these sessions are solely based on the lectures that you have attended, the NPTEL lecture from the faculties. And I will be covering some of the problems based on the topics that are covered in the lecture. So make sure you have looked at the recordings of those lectures. And yeah, so the session will start as follows. So we will see some questions, the questions that I have prepared for the problems and then for today's session. After that I will so after that this session that session will go on for approximately 1.5 hours or maybe 1 hour 40 minutes. After that there will be a Q&A session where you guys can ask questions via chat. So make sure so throughout the session feel free to ask questions via chat, and if you're stuck you can ask questions. I will help you out. And so this is how this session will go. Make sure you are asking questions and I will be helping you out. So yeah, let's wait for maybe two 2 more minutes and allow everyone to enter. So it's 6:02. So we'll wait till maybe 6:05 and then we'll start the session. So this session is being recorded. So someone is asking that where to access the recording session of this session. So I will share these recordings on a YouTube channel, on my YouTube channel, and those links will be shared to you by the NPTEL um, by the NPTEL team. So someone is saying, can you please explain the sample problem for? So I don't know what is the sample problem for. Can you please elaborate? So I guess I don't know what problem you are talking about. Yeah. So yeah, now we can start our session. So can anyone confirm that you can see my screen right now? If you can't, kindly you can inform me via chat. So yeah, I see a thumbs up that yeah, you guys are confirming that you can see my screen. So great. So welcome to this session. So this is a problem solving through programming C session. So I'm Rupesh Kumar and fine. So anytime during the session you find that my screen is not visible or my audio or video quality is deteriorating, you can just message on chat and I will look for the technical glitches that are happening. So yeah. So I'm Rupesh Kumar and this is the week 2, the second session for this lab for this course, that is problem solving through programming in C. So let's start with some of the problems. So the first problem is which one of the following is not a C variable? So what is a C variable? Variables are basically so yeah, someone of you are a few people are also answering the questions. So yeah, variables are the names used for that denote some value. So for example, in mathematics, we always say, let's say x equals to 10. So then x is a variable that is holding the value of 10. So the question says which one of the following is not a C variable. So for defining variable names in C, there are some rules. Such as the rules say that the variable name should not start with a number. It should not. It contains few of some of the allowed alphanumeric characters, and it can contain strings, maybe uppercase or lowercase, any string it allows. So for the option A, it says count 1, 2, 3. So here you can see it does not start with a number and it does not contains any special character, so it's a valid C variable name. The second option also says count underscore 1, 2, 3. So you all might know that underscore is also allowed for as a special character that can be used in variable names. So yeah, option B is also very correct variable name for a C variable. And then option C says count at the rate 1, 2, 3. So at the rate character is not allowed to be used as a variable name in C. So that thus option C is not a correct C variable. We do for it. Okay, fine. Yeah. So sorry, there was an interruption, guys. So yeah. So option C is correct. Count count at the rate 1, 2, 3 is not a correct variable name. Is not a C variable. Fine. So let's move on to the question number 2. So yeah, it's a MCQ question. So it says a function. Option A is a block of statements to perform some specific types tasks. So yeah, functions are used in C programming in all the most of the programming languages. And programming language uses functions as a block of statements to perform some specific tasks. So you might know that the blocks are denoted by the curly braces. And then it is a fundamental modular unit to perform some tasks. So this statement is also true. The option C says has a name and can be used multiple times. So that's the main point of using functions. It has a name and it can be used multiple times in a program. So yeah, it's true. So the option D is correct. So the answer is option D. All of the above options are true. So fine. So this was the question on functions. The third question says uh, the execution of any program is. So everyone, can you confirm that the font size is fine to you all, or should I increase the font size? It's fine. Great. The execution of any C program is option A sequential, option B parallel, option C multi-threading, option D none of these. So we all know that the C program execution is done in sequentially. So the option A is correct. So answer is option A, sequential. So the execution of any C program is sequential. Yeah. So here we have a programming questions where we have to print the outputs of some program. So before starting this problem, I want to make sure that you guys are familiar with programming and are you guys familiar with the concept of dry running the programs, like without using the compiler and the machine? So how to interpret what the program is trying to do? So a dry run means, like, basically it's a terminology that we use mostly. So it basically means that we work out the problem on a piece of paper by us, so in a human understandable language, and we like simply see what the statement says and is what the program would output. So we can start with this example, and we will, you guys will be familiar with this process. So yeah, so we know for every so on the line one, you can see it says hashtag include, and there is opening left, opening bracket and closing bracket, and that there is std arrows. So there is opening and closing arrows, and there is stdio.h. So this statement is basically responsible for importing the functions that are provided by the library standard input and output. So the standard input and output assumes, basically makes sure, it says that the input to the program is the keyboard and by default, and the output is the terminal, basically the screen. So someone is saying please increase the font size. So yeah, that's what I was asking. So now, is the font size fine for you guys? So who was like someone yeah, fine. So yeah, so the first line is basically including the standard library that is responsible for all the IO operations. So it is stdio.h. Now the second line defines the main function. So you guys must know that every C program requires at least one function to run, and that is the main function. So whenever you compile and then run the executable file for a C program, the system tries to find this function, main function, and then it executes that function. All other functions can be used inside within the main function. Yeah. So yeah, so this is the main function, and it has the return type of integer. So you can see int main. It does not takes in any arguments. And then the function block body starts here. So you can see the curly braces opening and closing. They define the function body. So for defining any blocks in C, we use these curly opening and closing braces. The first line in the main function says a equals to 9. So you guys can see, like, for any variable to be used in C programming language to store any value, it must be declared first. And here you can see it has not been declared. Here simply we are assigning the value of 9 to something that is A. The compiler doesn't know what A is right now because we haven't defined anything that what A is expected to store. So that's why here the compiler will throw out an error that says compilation error. I don't identify the the object A. So the correct answer for this problem will be option D. Option D, that says compilation error. So how to correct this problem? So to correct this, we can simply, instead of writing a equals to 9, we have to give a variable, declare the variable a. So we can say int a, and then we can write a equals to 9. So in this way it will work. Now suppose if I do this, what would the output of this? So if I modify this program to this, what would be the output? Can anyone of you can guess? So someone is asking, can we write main without int? So main, yeah. So yeah. So we can use void also in as a return type for main. So you guys will be, you can look out on the internet like what this means actually. So basically, there to we use the int to provide some context to the compiler that program has exited. And yeah, we can also use void as a return type to the main. Fine. So yeah, so someone has already answered that if we correct this code, the output will be 9. So yeah, it's correct. So yeah, let me keep it fine. So there was a compilation error. So let's proceed to the next question, which says what is the output for this particular problem? Though again, we can see the first line includes the library standard input IO output. So any in IO done by our program, any IO done by our program will consider from the key, the input will be from the keyboard and the outputs will be from the The outputs will be from you on your terminal or maybe on your screen. Yeah. So the first line says, you can see we have used a preprocessor directive hashtag define. So what does hashtag define does is it basically tells the compiler before compiling the program, it tells the compiler that we have to define some variable constant that is named as fun, and it takes in an argument of variable x, and its value is equals to x multiplied by itself. So simply it's a function that squares the value of a given input. So we are basically telling the compiler that before compiling this program, just understand that we have defined a variable a constant a fun that takes in a variable x and it returns its square. So yeah, its value becomes its square. So here we have defined the variable function func. Now, in the main function, we can see the first line defines the variable I with a data type of float. So floating point data types are used for storing fractional numbers in C. So basically, it defines that I has been declared as a data type of float. It can store any floating point numbers from now onwards. So now we are storing the value of we are assigning a value of 64 divided by fun called over 2, and then we are printing that value. So here you can see in this line, the line is that is currently highlighted. So yeah. Um, hmm. So in the highlighted line, you can see I is assigned the value of 64 divided by fun call over 2. So the fun call over 2 will return 4. So what is the result of 64 divided by 4? It is 16. So now I contains the value of 16. So maybe I can use comments to write it. I equals to 16. So you guys might be familiar with this construct, this double front slash. It is used for writing inline comments in C. So I have the compiler ignores anything written after this construct. So double front slash. So we know now, yeah, the value of I is 16. Now we are using the printf function. Printf is also provided by it's an inbuilt function in C that helps the output, that prints the output onto the terminal. So yeah, when you run this program, it will simply print some string on the output. Here you can see that we have used the format specifier percentage symbol followed by .2f. So the percentage symbol is used for writing format specifiers in whenever used in strings, as in strings in C. So here what we have used .2f means it belongs, the value that is being printed belongs to the data type float, and we have to print 2 decimal digits after the output. So suppose I equals to 16, the value that should be printed would be 16.00. So the correct answer is option D. Answer option D, 16. So everyone, are you guys clear with this concept of format specifiers that I used here? So we have used basically 0.2f, percentage 2f. So yeah. So someone is saying, please revise percentage to f. So in C language, whenever you want to print some string in strings, we use format specifiers to specify whether which value is being added to this string. So here we are in the string, we are typing in percentage dot to f. So just ignore the dot to part for now. If you write percentage f, that means the value that is being printed here, it belongs to the data type float. Now, suppose if we, so what it would do, it depends, it will just, if you write something like this, it will just print 7 zeros like this because of the precision of the machine precision that you will be learning and later on. So yeah. And now suppose if you want to print only 2 decimal digits after the point. So for that we have using the value 0.2 that specifies after the point of the decimal point, just print 2 more digits. So here we can see it is printing option 16.00. So are we clear with this? Fine, fine. So let's move on to the next question. Question number 6. It says, the following C program swaps the value of two numbers without using any third variable. What would be the correct option to fill up the blank? So yeah, we have solved this problem in the previous session also, but using flowcharts. So here we'll be writing a C program to do the same stuff. So basically, the problem states that we are given two numbers and we want to swap their value. So suppose we have int a equals to 10, and we have defined another variable b equals to 20. And what we want is, so suppose the input is like this, and we want the output to be a should store a equals to 20. That is the value stored in b, and b should contain the value 10. So we have to write a program that swap these variables, and the question says we can't use any third variable. So we all have discussed the logic behind this. So how does this work? So basically what we will do, we will not use any third variable. So the logic goes like this. So maybe I can write the logic here. Just store the value of a plus b in the variable a. So a to a plus b. Now what a contains? This means a is equals to 30 right now. Now what do? You get the value of, now if you subtract the value, to get the value of a from this total sum, you simply subtract the value of b from this. So basically b equals to a plus b minus b, that will be equals to a. So now b becomes 10. Now a, what a contains is, a currently contains 30. So now simply so a contains a plus b. So a contains 30 and you subtract b from it. That is 30 minus 10 equals to 20. So you guys can see, using this logic, we did not use any other variable other than the variables a and b, and we were able to swap their values. So let us write so now we understand the logic, and let's finish this code that requires us to do the same. So here you can see again it's importing the standard IO library, and then we are going to the main function. The values are defined, the integers a, and there are two variables integer values defined, a and b. A has got the value of 2 and b has got the value of 3, and we want a equals to 3 and b equals to 2. So initially we are printing up the values of a and b before swapping. So a equals to a and b equals to b. Here you can see we are using the format specifier %d. So %d is used to specify that the value that is going to be printed in the string is an integer. So we use this format specifier %d for integers, but so %f was used for floating point numbers. So yeah, the value before swapping is a equals to a. So basically a was 2 and b. So it prints a equals to 2 and b equals to 3. B equals to 3. There is not much space. So yeah, maybe I can print it in the next line. So it prints the values before swapping a. The values before swapping a equals to a, that is 2, comma b equals to 3. Now what we want to do, we want to swap the values. So we have to write some logic here. So let's see what are the options for us right now. The first option says option A equals to a minus b, b equals to a minus b, a equals to a plus b. Now suppose we dry run this, what it will do? So a equals to a minus b, that is 2 minus 3, that is minus 1. And then b becomes a minus b, that is minus 1 minus 3 minus 4. And c, then finally a becomes minus 4 minus 1, that is minus 5. So it's incorrect. So let's go to the option 2. It says a equals to a modulo b. So here the percentage symbol is an arithmetic operator, and it refers to the modulo operator. And modulo operator returns the remainder of a division. So suppose if you divide 10 by 4, the remainder is 2. So if you write 10 modulo 4, the output will be 2. So it's the remainder operator. So basically a equals to a modulo b, that says 2 modulo 3. This is 2. And then b equals to a plus b, that is 2 plus 3, 5, and then a equals to a divided by b, and 2 by 5 it's so it's incorrect again. So let's go to option C. It says a equals to a plus b, so a becomes 3 to 5, then b becomes a minus b, so b becomes 5 minus 3, that is 2, and then a becomes a minus b, so 5 minus 2, that is 3. So now what we have done, we have set the value of 2 to b, and the variable b has the value 2, and the variable a has the value 3. So yeah, we have swapped the value. So we this is what we were desiring: a equals to 3 and b equals to 2, and this we are getting with option C. So the correct answer is option C. So simply we have to swap these values: a equals to a plus b, and then b equals to a minus b, and then a equals to a minus b. So yeah, this is how we solve this problem. So let's move on to the next problem. So anyone, so I guess there are no questions regarding this problem. So yeah, someone is saying we are asking without using a third variable. So yeah, we are not using any third variable. So you can see we are only using variables a and b. We are not using any other variable. Fine. Yeah. So let's move on to the next question. So what will be the output for this program? So yeah, let's start. Let's do a dry run over the code, and let's see if there are some errors, or maybe the program is doing something. So the first line again says hashtag include stdio.h. It's basically preprocessor directive that says include all the functions defined in the library standard IO. The next line defines the main function, and within the main block we can see we have defined the variable x and assigned with the value of 1, a variable y, and assigned in the variable of 3. So both of these variables are of the type integer. Now we are defining a third variable t that contains the value of x. So this line says now t will have the value 1. So t equals to x, that is equals to 1. So t will have the value of 1. So in the next line, we can see we are assigning the value of y to x. So x is basically becoming y, getting the value of y. Y contained 3, so x will be 3. In the next line, we are saying y equals to t. So t was containing the value of 1. So now y contains the value 1. So now we are simply printing two values. So we are using format specifier for integers. So these are x and y. So we are simply printing these two values. So it will be printing the value of x and y. So let's go ahead and see what is the final value of x and y after our run. So x becomes 3, and then there is a space, and then y becomes 1. So the output would be 3 space 1. Option B is correct. So I guess all of you have answered it correctly. So answer is option B, 3 space 1. Right. Now, so anyone any doubts with this question? Fine. So let's move on to the next question. So it says when executed, the following code will print. So again, we can see the preprocessor directive for including all the functions present in the library standard in IO. And we define the main function, and we are defining the variable sum and giving doing some arithmetic operators over some numbers, and then as computing the output of this operation and saving to the variable sum. So let's see how the compiler interprets it and solves. Let's solve this problem. So basically, what the compiler does is uses the Bodmas rule right here. So basically, we can use Bodmas rule and solve this problem. So let's see what goes on. So it says sum equals to 3 plus 6 divided by 2 plus 6 into 2. So according to the Bodmas rule, we first do the division. So basically sum becomes 3 plus 6 divided by 2 is 3 plus 6 into 2. So again, now we do the next operation in line, that is multiplication. So 3 plus 3 plus 6 into 2, that is 12. So the output is 36, 18. So correct answer is option 18. So yeah, answer is 18. Fine. Yeah. So let's move on to the next question. Uh, so these were all some of the problems that I had taken for you guys, just for understanding all the constructs that are used in C to for writing in for C programming. So I hope you guys are familiar with this stuff. Now the next for the next 1 hour, what we will be doing, we will start writing code by our own. So till now, there were some incomplete programs that were given to you guys, and you had to like complete the code, fill in the blanks, and get the output. But now, from now onwards, we will be writing the entire C program by ourselves. Fine. So someone is asking what. So basically, we are going to write C programs. So we are basically uh, we are going to write some C programs, some basic C programs that you should try on yourselves. So every one of you, have you set up the C compiler? So yeah, there is some questions I'm getting here. So why there is return zero statement? So here you can see the function definition is something like this in C. So it requires a return type followed by function name, and then arguments are given in the braces. So basically, int says that the main function has a return type of integer, and now so that's why we are using a return statement. The return statement basically returns the value from that function. So we are returning a value of 0 from the main function. That's why we are using a returns 0 statement here, right? Yeah. So have you guys any have set up have you guys set up C compiler before? Have you run any simple C program? So yeah, okay. So let me go back to your problems. So let's see, there are some questions on chat itself. So there are few questions. One says we don't follow the word mass in C language. So basically, C language uses precedence of the operators. So which operator has more precedence is executed first, then the second and third. So here the division operator has greater precedence, and since it comes first in the statement, it has greater precedence, and then thus it is executed first, and then the multiplication operator is executed, and lastly, addition operator is executed. So you guys can go ahead and look over the precedence table and find out which operators should be executed first if they come in a line. And also you can see the order in within a line in which order they should be executed. So you will see that for this example, if it's like respects the board master. So that's why the answer is correct. So So someone is asking me to repeat the question number 8. So again, we can start it again. So it says so basically we are including the standard IO library here, and that contains all the functions provided in the library as standard IO. And then what we are doing, we are simply computing the values sum here. So we are doing some arithmetic operations and saving that value in the variable sum. So here you can see we got first the value of 3, then we are to perform addition operation, then we perform division operator over the value 6 and 2. Then we perform addition over these two, and then finally there is a multiplication operator. So the precedence, according to the precedence rules, the division operators come first. So first we divide the values 6 by 2, it becomes 3, then that is here. And then the next statement says, then the next operator that comes in the precedence table is multiplication operator here. So we simply multiply these two values and get the value. So this 12. Fine. At last, we do the addition operator over these three values and we get the value of 18. So who's saying? So someone is saying I could not get the question that returned 16. I don't think any of the problems return 16. Oh, so you're talking about this problem. Okay, fine. So again, let's start this problem again. So we are given a sample C program that we have to give the we have to tell what would be the output of this problem of this program. So it basically first it's included the standard IO library, and then we define the variable fun. So it's basically a constant here, and it takes in x as an argument, and its value is assigned to be squared of that value x. Now, so it is being used. It will be used throughout the program. The fun will take in input x and just have the value of x squared will be the fun. Now we go to the main function. First, we are declaring a variable float I, though, so it can store any floating point values. So after that, in the next statement, what we are doing, we are assigning the value of 64 divided by fun over 2 to this variable I. So basically, we are dividing 64 divided by 2, fun over 2, and fun over 2 returns 4 because it's basically squared of that particular of the argument. So 64 divided by 4 is 16. Thus, I gets the value of 16. So depending upon your machine precision, floating point numbers are defined. So so suppose the machine supports only 7 bits after the decimal, 7 digits of this decimal. If we consider the floating point to contain 7 digits after the decimal, then the value of I would be 16.70 here. So something like this. And when we print out the value like this, if we print out the raw value of I using the format specifier, float format specifier, that is percentage %f, we will get the value 16.70. So yeah, this. But what we are doing here is we are telling the format specifier that just print the two values after the decimal point. So basically, it's telling the compiler that just print the two digits after the decimal point. So basically, it truncates the other zeros and simply prints the two zeros here. So that's why the option D is correct, 16. So fine, I guess it's clear. Fine. So I hope I have cleared most of your doubts. Hmm. So yeah, where were we? So we were going to write some C programs, sample C programs that will help you to start writing programs in C. So yeah, sorry guys, there was some technical issues. So let me. Hmm. So I hope my audio and video are both are clear right now. Yeah, fine. So my screen is also visible. Fine. So yeah, every one of you have set up the C compiler at least once before this session. Have you run C programs? Fine. If you have, that's good. If you haven't, you can use some online. You can search for some online C compilers where you can write code and see the outputs. So at least it allows you to write some of the programs, some basic programs that we are going to use during this session. So you can just go ahead and search for those problems. So I guess someone is raising their hands. So just type in your query in the chat box only. So yeah. So there are some students that are saying no, we haven't. So you can go ahead on the internet and search for some online compiler if you're using a Windows machine. If you're using a Unix or Linux machine, then I will be showing the instructions here how to run C programs. So fine. If you're using a Windows machine, go ahead and search for online C compilers and you will find pretty much of them. And you can use any one of them and just type in some code and see the output. And if you're using Unix or Linux machine, it actually comes pre-installed with the C compiler comes pre-installed. So you basically have to use it, and I will be using basically the Linux system right now. So I'll be showing these instructions are applicable to all the systems, all the Linux and Unix systems. The output program outputs will be same even whether you run it on a Windows system or on a Linux or a Unix system, but the compiler setup is a bit different in all of these three. Unix and Linux come pre-installed with the C compiler. So GCC is the C compiler that is being used by the Linux. So basically, I open my system terminal. You can use the shortcut Control key followed by the Alt T and the T command. So basically, go ahead in your terminal. You can type in GCC and hyphen hyphen version. So after typing in this, you can see it will show that GCC is installed for Ubuntu, my operating system, and GCC version is 10.5.0, and it shows some copyright information. So yeah, so this shows that GCC is installed in my system, and it is ready to be used by. I can use it readily. So someone is raising their hands. So just type in your query in the chat box and don't raise your hands. Yeah, fine. So now I have the GCC installed. I will be using the Visual Studio Code editor for this session. So I will be writing in code in the editor, Visual Studio Code ID, and we will be compiling the C code and running the executable files. So I will just go ahead and open the Visual Studio Code editor window. So the window looks like this. Everyone, is my screen visible? Like, can you see the editor window? So is the text visible? So I guess now the text must be visible. So yeah, it's basically a text editor that allows you to write some text. So someone is raising your hand, just type your query in the chat box. So yeah, the text editor allows you to type in some. So yeah, someone is saying to you, please the process. So the text editor allows you to type in some code, and then you can use that code, you compile it, and then uh, run by on your system. So here we will be writing our simple C programs. So someone is saying font size should be increased. So it's fine, everyone. Yeah, great. So here we will again. So we have seen some of the problems right now. So we can start with this. So writing some basic commands. So the first problem for today is write a C program to print hello world. Yeah. So someone is asking for the recording video. So I will share the recording with you guys. So let's say how we will proceed with this problem. Fine. So we will first we need to include the standard library for input output. So we use hashtag include stdio.h. Then we will write the function main. We'll declare the function main here. It contains no argument as of now, and we open and close it block. So everything written within these braces will be considered as a block of the function main. So now what we have to do, we have to print hello world. So you all know that printf is the printf function is used for printing values in C. So it basically prints out the any value given to it. So now what we are doing, it takes in a string and prints that value. So now we are trying to print the value hello world, and it's a string. So everyone of you are familiar with the basic data types, characters, integer, floats. Yeah, fine. So basically string, you can consider string as an array of characters. So if you align multiple characters in an array, you will get a string. So you can see the string hello world contains multiple characters. They're aligned with each other. So H is a character. It is basically a composition of characters. So you can see we have to print the string hello world. In C, there are to specify a character, we use so character in C. So for specifying character variables, we use the keyword char and then character name, suppose name. So maybe char name, and we assign the value uh, using the equals to operator. And then we use the single inverted comma. So maybe the text here, so the document is formatting it in a different way. So I will use the editor here. So basically, if you want to define characters in C. So you use the keyword char to specify that the variable that I'm going to specify is belongs to the type char, and then we go ahead and type it the name. So let's say character C contains the value of, and assign a value to it, maybe A. So now you can see we are using few things here. To define define a character, we are using the single inverted commas. So anything written between the single inverted commas is a character in C. So so basically we are defining our character A and assigning it the value to the character C. So using single inverted commas, and then we are terminating the statement with the terminator, that is a semicolon. So every C statement needs to be terminated by the semicolon. Fine. So this is how we have specified a character in C. Now, suppose we want to use strings in C. So for that, we use the keyword string. So basically, for that we have to import another library. So what you can do, you can understand it like this: strings are defined in the double inverted quotes, are written in double inverted quotes. So anything thing here is a string. So anything that we write in the double inverted quotes in C corresponds to a string. So suppose we want to print the print the string hello world, we simply use the function printf and type in hello world in the string as a string as an argument to the function hello world. So now what it will do, it will print the value of this string contained in this double inverted commas. So now I will go ahead and compile the code and run it. So basically, let me go to the folder. You can see I have the files run.c. So basically, I use the command gcc followed by the file name, the code file name, which is run.c for our case, and then it will generate a file named a.out. If you do not specify the output name for the to the compiler, if you specify the output name by using the flag option O, and suppose you want to say it should be a name run, so it will create a executable file named run. Now to run this command, this executable, you use dot front followed by front slash and simply run the file. You can see that it prints the value hello world. So maybe we should change the line. So you must be familiar with the backslash n character. It basically it is responsible for changing the line. So now if we again compile and run our program, we can see the program is printing hello world. So and everyone, can you find it? Can you see this? Fine. So this is how we write a program that actually prints the string hello world onto the terminal. So yeah, right now we saw how characters are defined in C and how we can print some string in C. Backslash n is the line change of character, and these are backslash n belongs to the category of characters known as escape characters. So someone is saying, what's the use of declaring a variable a? So let me clear this first. So the a is not a variable here. A is the character value that is assigned to the variable c. So the variable name is c, and we are assigning a character value that is informed by the data type that is defined for using for defining the variable c. So c is the variable, and we have assigned the value of character a to the variable c. So someone is asking what are the escape characters and where do we use it? So the one of the finest example of most used escape character I would say is backslash n. It's usually for changing the lines. So suppose I am printing two statements, hello world line one, and the second is I am alive. Suppose something like this. So suppose the this is the term that we want to print. So let's see the difference in the output. So what happens if we remove the escape character backslash n? So go ahead, run. So you can see both the lines are printed in the same line. Everyone, can you see this? Maybe I can copy the output here and you can see output is, sorry. So this is the output returned by on the terminal. So here you can see both the lines are printed in the same line. If you remove the escape character backslash n, if you now introduce the backslash n character here, what it will do, it will make sure after printing the statement, the output, the line is changed in the terminal. So after, if you run this program, you can see the outputs are printed in separate lines. So this is the difference when you use a backslash n and when you don't use backslash n for printing these values. So by default, C does not changes backslash the line after printing text onto the terminal. So yeah, someone is saying what's the difference between int main and void main? So basically int here specifies the return type of the function main. So here we are saying we are returning integer value from the function main. So that's why we are returning value of 0. If we use void here, that means we are not returning anything. Void is used for representing null in C. So that's the difference. If you use void, you are not returning anything from the function. Fine. So someone is asking, can we use backslash n before printing anything? So yeah, you are free to use backslash n inside the text anytime you want. So you can see it first changes the line. So blank line is being printed, and then two strings are printed in separate lines. So someone is saying, can we store integer value in character? So suppose you are trying to say something like this. So let's see what happens. Let's run the code and let's see what happens. So we are using the integer value 1 and assigning it to character C, and let's see what the compiler says. Yeah, 1 minute. Printf, and let's percentage C for character, and then C equals to percentage C backslash n. So it's basically correct this again. So it's not printing anything here. So yeah. So because it's basically taking the sole value of character 1, that is 1, and it's printing that value right now. So we typically we don't store the value of integer value in a character. So yeah, let's see what the documentation says. So it's something related to the implicit data trans so implicit type conversions. So basically what the compiler is doing here is simply implicitly changing converting the type of the variable c from character to int and then storing the value of int. And implicit data type conversions happens only when the I mean the when the our target data type requires less storage than the initial data type. So character requires more storage than the integer data type. That's why if the C is simply being implicitly converted to integer data type. Fine. So yeah, someone is trying to see what were the output again. So these were the output: C equals to 1, hello world, I am alive. Char should be in single quote. So yeah, you are correct. Char should be in single quote. But what happens if we want to define a different data type to a variable in character, to a char variable? It simply so if the target data type is a contain requires less storage than the current, then it basically is converted implicitly by the compiler. If it's not, then it's not converted and throws an error. So you guys will learn about these concepts in the upcoming classes. So maybe we can ignore this right now and move further with this. So this we should not use. Actually, it's not a good programming construct where you programs good programs in whenever you write quality good C programs, you don't use implicit type conversions. They they result in bugs in huge softwares and projects. So yeah, we don't use such stuff mostly. So this is the output. This is the program. So we simply print hello world \n for changing the line, and it does the task. And finally, we return the value 0. Fine. So yeah, let's move on to the next question. So suppose we want to write a C program that takes a username and zip code as input and prints their values. So let's create a new file 10.c maybe and write in the problem statement here. So write a C program that takes user's name and zip code as input and prints their values. So let's start our program. So first we need the basic IO libraries, basic IO functions that are provided by the standard IO library. So I will include the stdio.h. Then we have to define the main function. So we simply say the data type return type is int, and we are defining a function main. So someone is asking what is meant by the zip code. So postal, it's basically a zip code. Zip it is basically the postal code. So basically for in the area in which I am residing is New Delhi. So it the postal code is 110016. Fine. So someone is asking what is zip code. So yeah, that's a zip code. So the program's problem statement says that we have to take users input and that the input should be we have to take inputs. So the inputs to take inputs from the user. The inputs would be name, that would be a string, and zip code, that would be a integer value. So maybe we can use the long because zip codes are 6 digits. So yeah, let's see if we can use string straight away. String name. So yeah, we need to import the string library. Oh, I guess I'm missing the library here. Let's see, C string. So yeah, so this is my bad. So they are basically present in C++. So for C, we will be using simply the arrays. So you will be taught about arrays in the future classes. So for now, just see how we are using string characters in C. So char name. So maybe we can take users first character inputs from the user. So name's first character, maybe we should take character as in inputs because strings have not been taught to you guys. So I would not like to explain that here. So name's first character. So it will be a char data type. And then we will take the zip code and then name char, maybe something like this. And then we will use the long data type and we will take in zip code in here. So for taking input from the user, we have the function scanf. So everyone, I guess you all have been taught about the scanf function in the classes. So what it does, it basically takes a access format specifier. So if we are taking string as an input, we simply use %c and then pass in the address of the variable. So basically name char is the address. So now what we have done, let's give some good output to the user, prompt to the user, telling that what they have to input. So kindly enter the first character of your first name \n. So now the user gives in an input and we store that input in the address of the variable name character. So here I have used the ampersand character token here. So ampersand basically ampersand operator refers to the address of a variable. So ampersand is name character basically means you it is pointing out to the variable the address of the variable name char. So now we take in the input in the variable name char. So yeah, and then this next thing is we want to take in the input is the zip code. So kindly enter your zip code \n. Again, we take in the input zip code using the scanf command. So we specify the format character. I guess it's %L. And then we pass in the address of the variable zip code. And now what we want to do is we simply print these values. So printf hi, the first character in your first name is, and we use the access specifier %c and we just type print the value of name char and then change line, and then we use the printf statement again and the zip code is, we use the access specifier %d for %L for for the long, and then we print the value of zip code. So let's see what our program does. Oh, sorry. Print. So there were some syntax errors in my code. So Let me get back to you. So it's LD. So it's not percentage L, it's percentage LD. So that's why we are getting the warning. So let's go ahead and compile our code and see the output. So the first character of my first name is R and my zip code is 110016. So you can see the output. Hi, the first character in your first name is R and the zip code is 110016. Let me change the line after printing this also. So R. So you can see the output. The program is simply printing the first character. So we can write the output here. So yeah, so this is how we write a program that takes in two inputs. One is character and one is a long, and then it prints their values. So anyone, any doubts? So I guess some hands are raised. So if you have some questions, so Ashwani and Sushil, do you have any questions? Just type in the text box, type in the chat box. Fine. So yeah, let's proceed with the next problem. So maybe I will copy the code in the answers file. Names, first character, and zip code as input and prints their values. So this is the program that does. Fine. So let's move on to the next question. So now we want to write the program to print the size of different data types. So someone is saying, how did the first character R turned into 110016 zip code? So I don't think that happened here. So let me run the program again. The first character is R for my name, and the zip code is 110016. And when we input, you can see the output. Hi, the first character in your first name is R, and the zip code is 110016. So someone is saying, how did the name's first letter got printed? So basically, we are simply taking the input in the variable name char, and we are taking the input the first character, and then we are simply printing its value. So you can say this print statement that is responsible for printing the value. So someone is saying, can't we use percentage D rather than percentage LD? So yeah, we can use percentage D and percentage LD. So I am being conservative here, and I am just taking a variable that has more memory, and zip codes typically have 6 digits. So that's why I've used long double. You can simply, long. You can simply use long decimals basically. You can use percentage D also, but you have to define the zip code variable as int here. So in that case, it would work. Fine. Great. So let's move further. So this was problem 10. We can move on to the next problem that says write a C program to print the size of different data types. So we have taken the problem says we have to print the size of a data type character, float, integer, and double. So C provides size of function that returns. So maybe I should put this, yeah, that returns the size of a given variable. So let's see how it works. Let's write a C program and see the output. So we have four data types that we will be using for this problem. So let's go ahead, create a new file. It's problem11.c. Let's type in the problem statement here. So yeah, let's start writing our code. So for hashtag include cdio dot add. So it's the standard input output library. Then I will be defining int main, the main function, and then return the value 0 from the main function, telling the compiler that the function execution is complete. So now, so we have to print the data type size. So first of all, the first one is character. So let's use the, so we are simply printing the values. So we can use the printf function. The size of char data type is %d \n, change the line, and then we can use size of a variable of a character value. So let's go ahead and define a variable char c and give it a value some a, and then we print its value c. So let's see what it does. So here you can see, so everyone, can you see the output? So I'm getting some warning when I compile this program. So I want to like tell you guys something about this, how to debug your programs by seeing these outputs. Everyone, can someone respond on the chat box? So I guess I'm not getting any feedback from you guys, so I will have to. So yeah, I'm getting some messages. So yeah, someone is asking what is size of. Size of is basically a function that returns the size of a given variable. So it will simply print the value size of the variable c. So here you can see we are getting a oh sorry, yeah. So I have defined string instead of a character. So this is correct. So now let's go ahead and run our program. It's 11.c. No? So yeah, so size of is basically returning a type of size. So it you can see in the warning says a warning is thrown by the compiler that says we are using %d access format specifier instead of LD. So basically the size of function returns a long unsigned integer. So we are trying to use a %d, that is for an integer format specifier, instead of a long unsigned integer access format specifier. That's why it's giving a warning. So basically we have to use LD instead of D here. And now we can again run our program and it runs smoothly, and we can see the output, and it says the size of character data type is 1. So yeah, it's the size of the memory basically used by the variable c here. So it's 1. Yeah. So it's 1 byte instead of bit because so it's 1 byte. Yeah. You can go ahead and check on the internet also. So the documentation says it's byte, size of returns a byte, size in bytes. So basically someone is saying if it's only 1, why do we have to use LD, long unsigned integer? We have to use LD because the size of function itself returns a long unsigned integer. So we could have used D if it returned decimal, I mean integer values, but since it returns long unsigned integer, we have to use LD. Yeah. So let's go ahead and try this again for another variable. So let's say for a float variable, float f equals to maybe 10, and we can print its size. The size of the variable f is we give the format specifier, that is percentage LD, and then change the line, and we use the size of function over variable CF, and let's see the output. So the size of variable f is 4 bytes. So you can see the float uses 4 bytes. And then you can go ahead and try it on other data types also. So maybe integer int I equals to 10. So this will be printing the value size of I, and that is also 4 bytes. And then simply you can print the value of double size of the variable defined using the double data type. Double I equals to 10.0, and the size of I, and let's see what's the size. So double uses 8. So you can see double uses exactly the double amount of size of the float data type. So this is the convention that we use. Basically, doubles are defined having double the size of uh, float data types, and they provide a double number of precision bits that we have. So someone is saying, if we have to store a value before checking the size of data types. So I don't get your problem. So maybe you can type in again. So then we will resolve your issue. So maybe double D T. So yeah, let us write up the answer in the answer sheet, and then we will proceed further. So yeah, this is the answer for this problem. So let's go ahead and solve another problem. So this is one of the problems that we solved in the previous session also, using flowcharts. So we basically designed a flowchart that will solve this problem. So we have to write a C program that takes the radius of a circle as input and prints its circumference. The formula is given as circumference equals to 2 into pi into radius of the circle. So where, let me specify it here, where and r is the radius of the circle. So that before starting the problem, I would like to clear some doubts. So someone is saying, what's the difference between percentage U and percentage D? So let's see what does access format specifier percentage U says. So percentage U is used for unsigned integer. So basically it's used for unsigned integer values. So unsigned integer values are values that doesn't have negative signs. Basically, these are used for representing only positive integers. And yeah, 0 also. Fine. And percentage D is for the integer, so you can use negative numbers also. So here you are assigned a float value to a variable, then check the size of float variable data type. This is same as sample problem 4. Someone is saying. So I don't know what is sample problem that you are referring to. So yeah, I'm getting some phone calls. Let me. So someone is saying 12 is sample problem 4. So I don't know what it is, but yeah. I hope this is not the problem that you have to solve in the class. So maybe we can skip this problem if you guys think that this problem is from taken from somewhere else. So maybe we can solve another problem. So let's take the another problem. So let's say we want to write a C program to check whether an integer given as an input from the user is even or odd. So it requires arithmetic operations. Take operation. So I have in the class earlier I told you about the modulo operator. So it is denoted by the symbol percentage, and what it does is it returns the remainder. Okay, my screen is stuck. So yeah. So I'm facing some technical issues here. So I hope it's resolved. So maybe we should take a break for 5 minutes. So meanwhile, I will try to see what the issue is on my system, and then we will resume from here. Fine. So let's take a break, stop sharing. So maybe I should So hi all, I'm back. So I hope my audio is I'm audible and my you can see my so my video is also clear to you all. Can anyone confirm? So we can resume our session. Fine. Hello. Yeah. So is my screen visible to you all? Fine. So I can see a few messages. So yeah, let's start. So again, we were at this problem. We want to write a C program that checks whether an integer given as input from the user is even or odd, and this requires some arithmetic operation, and we are talking about the modulo operator that will help us to write this program, write this logic. So basically, what does the modulo operator do? It returns the remainder of the division operation over two operands. So suppose I am saying a modulo p equals to remainder when a is divided by p. So say a equals to 10, b equals to 4, then a modulo b equals to 2. So this is what the modulo operator does. And what we want to do, we want to identify whether the given integer as an input is even or odd. So we know that an integer is even if it is divisible by 2, or otherwise it's odd. Fine. Otherwise it is odd. So yeah, so what we want to do, we want to find the remainder when the when the integer is divided by 2. So suppose we are given the value 10, the 10 modulo 2 is 0. So the remainder when 10 is divided by 2 is 0. Hence 10 is an even integer. So whereas if we take the remainder of 11 modulo 2, it will be 1. So 11 is odd. Fine. So every one of you are familiar with this logic. So the new thing that we are learning from here is that we can use an arithmetic operator modulo. So it takes in two operands and it returns the remainder of the division operation over them. So we're using this logic to write the program. So let's go back to, let's see if the recording is on. Yeah, recording is on. Yeah. So let's go ahead and create a new file that will do this for us. So maybe you can type in 12.c, it's the problem 12. So we can start by importing the necessary stdio library that provides the standard input output functions. And then we can simply use the main function, define the main function, return something from it, some integer, because you have defined integer int as the return type. Fine. So now what we have to do, we have to take in input integer input from the user. So we will define an integer value using the keyword int. Int used for defining variables with that correspond to a data type integer. Let's say we take in the value in the variable named x. Now what we have to do, we have to take input integer as an input from the user and put in the value in the variable x. So we'll use the keyword scanf, and then we will provide the access specifier that we are going to take integer as an input. We will pass the address of the variable x so that the value from the user is stored in the address location of x. So we can also use the printf statement here to give a nice prompt to the user. So maybe you can ask the user to enter an integer here. So it will give the user an prompt to that tells that what they have to do at this stage of the program. So they have to basically enter an integer. Now what we will do, we will use some conditional statement. So you guys have been taught about the if statement. It's a very basic if else statements. So if else are very basic commands used in C. So what if does is the what if does is similar to what it does in English language. So some condition if some condition is true, then do something else, do something thing else. So this is how like if statements work in C language also. So in C language, basically the syntax is some like this. So we use if and we use the small braces to define some condition within that braces. If that condition is true, the contents provided in the if block is are executed. If it's false, then the else the contents in the else block are executed. So for our code, what we want to do, if x is even, we want to print that x is even, maybe the value of x, so we can use x square percentage d comma x. Else if x is not even, then it has to be odd, so we can simply print the value odd. Percentage d is odd. So yeah. So suppose we don't want to use the else construct, we can again simply use the if again. So if x is odd, so we use so in this case, what is happening? If x is even, something is being printed. If x is odd, something else is being printed. So we use else when we want to take care of only one condition and ignore others. So if you suppose if it were some other problem, then so suppose if we're doing this, then if is correct, then the program that is after the lines that are after else will never be executed. So that's what the use of if and else statements. Suppose if we do not use else and if we use another if here, then there's a possibility that if this condition is also true, then these statements can also be printed. But for our case, it will never be true because we know that an integer can be either even or odd. So yeah, so no need of using else here, but yeah, it will be useful in other cases. One another thing that I want to tell you guys from here is the scope of this if statement. So by default, the scope is containing the next line always. So basically, the next line printf print statement, the next line that is responsible for printing something, it comes under the scope of this if statement. If we write something like something here, so let's say we write something printf something \n, and for the sake of clarity, I can just write in the logic also. So if x modulo 2 equals to 0, and then if x modulo 2 equals to 1. So let's see what will be the output for us. So x modulo 2 is basically returning the remainder of on dividing x by 2, and we are comparing. So the double equal to is the comparator operator here. It basically checks whether the values on the left hand side is equal to the value on the right hand side. So yeah, we are trying to check whether the remainder is 0. If it is 0, then it is even, otherwise it's odd. So let's see what is the output. Then we will see some things about the scope of the if statement here. So let's go ahead and uh, compile our program. So it is problem number 12. Let's run it. So suppose I'm giving an input as 9. So we know this is odd. So we can see it is printing that 9 is odd. So we can again run it for, suppose we give in the input 100. It's saying 100 is even, and we know that 100 is an even integer. So yeah, the program is working correct. So earlier I was talking about or talking about the scope of the if statement, and I was telling that it is only up till the next statement after the if statement. So what I'm trying to say that here is that, so here the if statement is defined at line number 8. You all can see this, and we are printing the condition, the statement after this if the condition is true in line number 9. So So the condition if is only valid for line number 9 here, and it is not valid for line number 10. So you can see something is will be printed in any case. So let's go ahead and say 1. So 1 something and then 1 is odd. And then again, if we type in 2, it is saying 2, 2 is even, and then something is being printed. So it's not under the scope of this if statement. To to make sure that multiple lines are under the scope of a particular statement, what we do, we use the blocks. These are denoted by this opening and closing curly braces. So basically we can open and close the curly braces. Now we can see. So yeah, we are talking about scope here. So someone is asking, can we put parentheses only for if else statement? No, you can use blocks for anything, any program construct used in C. So you can use it for, so you can see curly parentheses are used for functions also. So we are defining a main function, and everything inside this block belongs to the function main. So here also what parentheses say, everything within these parentheses belong to the will be executed only if the condition, this condition is true. So now we have expanded the scope of if statement on line number 8 up till the line number 10. Now we will see that something will not be printed, and if the given integer is odd. So we can go ahead and run it. So let me clear the screen and then run it. So let's say I input 100. I can say it's printing. You can see that it's printing 100 is even, and then it's printing the text something. Now, if you given some odd integer, say 9, it just says 9 is odd. It's not printing something. So earlier what was happening, something was getting printed because it was not in the scope of the first if statement on line number 8. But now what is happening, something is not getting printed because it is in this scope, and it will be printed only if the integer is even. So yeah, we use parentheses to expand the scope of conditionals and functions in C. So this is how we use them. And the blocks are defined. Such blocks, the blocks are used for expanding these scopes, and um, parentheses are used in C to define these blocks. Python uses in tabs gap indents, but in C we use curly braces. So by this problem, we actually try to understand how to use mathematical arithmetic logic in C programs, how to define scope of function, scope of statements, and how to expand the scope. The default scope is until the next line only. So yeah, this is how we solve the problem 12. That is for checking whether the given input is a string, it's even or odd. So yeah, let's go ahead and type in the answer. Fine. So we have solved the problem number 12. Yeah. So let's go ahead and solve one last problem for this session, and then we will start a Q&A session with you guys. I will answer a few of the questions that I can cover during this session. So the problem says write a program to print the maximum among three numbers. So suppose we have three variables storing the values x equals to 10, say, and then y equals to 20, and then z equals to 30. All of these three are integer variables. So we are defining three variables x, y, z, and we are assigning some values. So x contains 10, y 20, and 30. The answer to this problem would be, suppose we want to write a program. Answer should be that prints the maximum among these. So answer should be 30 in this case. So what is the logic behind this? So the logic is this: we start by checking. First, we check if x is greater than y. Agar if x is greater than y and x is greater than z, then x contains the maximum value. Now, if y is greater than x and y is greater than z, then y contains the maximum value. And in the last condition is z greater than x and z greater than y, then z contains the maximum value. So these are the three conditions that will help us to basically solve this problem. So we will simply compare their values. You can see I'm using comparison operators here. So comparison operators are defined in C that you can use. So in mathematics, we use the greater than. So it says this operator says greater than. This is less than. If you want to say greater than equals to, you use this operator, greater than equals to, and less than equals to, less than equals to. And equal to, we have used this earlier also. So equal to says equals to. All of these uh, all of these operators return Boolean values. So Boolean values means true or false. So basically Bool data type is defined in C that can contain values true or false. So basically if the condition is true, then it returns true, otherwise it returns false. Fine. So these are the operators that are available in C for comparison. And for our program, we will be using the greater than operator. That is the arrow pointing towards right for our program, and we have the logic to find whether among three numbers which has the maximum value. So let's go ahead and write the problem. So let's create a new file 13.c. We should import the standard io.h. So let me have some water. So let's define the main function, define its scope, and return the value from main, that is 0. And then let us go ahead and define three values, int x, y, comma, z. Now we will ask the user to input three integer values. So we will prompt the user printf, enter the first value. We will use the scanf function. We will define the X format specifier, that is D for integers, and pass in the address of the first integer variable, that is X. Then we will again prompt the user to enter the second variable, the second int value, \n, and then we will again take in the input using the scanf operator. We will define the format specifier %d, pass the address of the variable y here, and lastly we will repeat this for the variable z, third value, and take in the value of z. Now we are going to write logic for finding the maximum among x, y, and z. So if something happens, then we have to print %d is the maximum value, \n. So that value would be x. Suppose if x is maximum, then we will like to print that x is maximum. X is having the maximum value. Similarly, we will do some checks for y, and then we will having checks for z. So the logic for checking whether x has the maximum value is if x is greater than y and x is greater than z. So here I have introduced another operator, double ampersand. So basically double ampersand says and. So basically whenever you see two conditions, say x is greater than, you want to say x is greater than y and x is greater than z. So the and operator is the double ampersand operator is used to symbolize the operation and operation. So the result of and operation is only true if both the conditions on the left hand side and the right hand side are true. So the result of x and x greater than y ampersand x greater than z will be only true when x is greater than y and x is greater than z. So this is the ampersand and operator that we define in C. So here you can see if x is greater than y and x is greater than z, then x has the maximum value. Similarly, if y is greater than x and then y is greater than z, then y has the maximum value. and the last condition says if z is greater than x and then z is greater than y, then z has the maximum value. So someone is saying how to use OR operator. So yeah, I will come to that question after this problem. So we can go ahead and run this program and see what's the output. So let me clear the output and then compile 13, the problem number 13. And let's see what's the output. So enter the first value. Suppose I put in 10, then 20, and then 30. So I can see, you can see the output is 30 is the maximum value. So yeah, so there are two questions right now. First one says how to use the OR operator. So the OR operator is symbolized by this. Is so maybe this is the symbol for OR operator. So double straight lines you can see. You can find it. You can use this operator for doing an OR operation. Fine. And then someone is saying where I can get exercises of this question. So I will share this sheet with you guys. You can try them on your own. I have few more questions prepared for you guys. You can look at them. Fine. So let me type in the code for this. So yeah, this is the answer for this problem. I have prepared few more questions that you can go ahead and look after this session. And yeah, this is it. So I hope I have solved the queries that were asked during this session, like what is the OR operator and other. So can we use if-else statement without else? So basically, if can be used in conjugation with else. So if you have a if statement, you can use else, or you cannot. You don't need. It's not mandatory to use else. It is optional. So you can use if and then else. You can also ignore the else part. You cannot use else. So let's say I want to. What I'm saying is you can use if some condition do something and just leave it as it is. Don't use the else part. Suppose if you want to use the else part, then you can use with C. Use with the if condition, if statement, something else. So it depends if you need really need else or not. Fine. So for the even odd case, we could have simply used if even, else it odd, because we know if even, else we know it's even. It's even, else it's odd. We know there are only two classes here. But in case of any other classification, say we have four categories in some cases. In that case, there is a possibility we can't use else directly. We might use another if. So yeah, if else can be used in conjugation with if statements. So else is not a mandatory. You can also use else if some other condition, and then at the last you can use else. So these are other multiple ways of using if else statements. Fine. So anyone has any questions for this session? So this was it for this session. So if you have any questions, kindly raise your hands or type in the chat box so that I can help you out. So I will be sharing these files with you guys. So you can see I will share the exercise with you guys and you can see the problems and try to solve on your own. So just a note for you guys. So you should start programming and writing code in C and try to compile and see the outputs. You can only learn programming by doing programming. So basically, it's like mathematics. You can't understand mathematics by solving problems. You can't learn programming by actually writing code. So make a habit, start writing code whenever you find some problems at any difficulty level. Suppose if you are a beginner, try to find beginner problems in C and try to write their code and see what is happening. If you are if you feel that you are somewhat intermediate at an intermediate stage, you should start finding more difficult problems to write. So this will help you to understand what actual programming with C. So it's not and also programming is not something that you only do with the for the language C. You just try to build some intuition. You try to understand how to write logic to the and use that logic to solve some problems. Then you can use that logic to solve problems in any programming language. Say you want to write programs in Python or some any other fancy language, you can use it in Java, and there are multiple programming languages in C++. So yeah, just try to understand the logic behind each of the problems. Try to write code and do as many as programming problems as possible at your particular programming level. So don't get disheartened if you are if you aren't able to solve some problems. Just go to the solution, try to understand what it says, and then do try to solve problems of that same level every time you are stuck. So yeah, just make a habit to write code. So someone is asking, क्या हम function define करके उनको library में save कर सकते हैं ताकि उन्हें किसी और file में use कर सकें? So yeah, you. So one of the students is asking me that can we define a function, write it in another function, another file, say like another library, in a library, save it and import it and use in another file. So yeah, that we can do. So right now we saw that we use the hashtag include and this syntax for importing the standard IO library. Hashtag include stdio.h. So basically stdio.h is a file that contains all the functions defined in that library. So that includes printf, scanf, and other stuff. Fine. So this is the library that is provided by the C compiler by its predefined library. Suppose if you want to define a user-defined library, maybe I can write in like user library dot h, and I have some functions in it. So func1, func2. Fine. So I have defined a new file user library.h that contains some functions func1, func2, and I want to use them in my file. So I will simply use the include directive that says we have to include something. But for including user defined libraries, we'll be using the double inverted commas instead of the arrows. Fine. So in this case, what we will do instead of using this user library.h, we will be using double inverted commas. Fine. So I hope this resolves your query. So basically, it's a good habit to write libraries and import them wherever required because of reusability. So yeah, someone is asking stdio is right or stdio.h. So basically stdio.h. The .h extension is used as a convention to define the header file. So these files are also known as header files. So that's why its name is stdio.h. So it's stdio.h. Yeah. Any other question? My output wrong आ रहा है, so I can help you out if you just share your code here, maybe on the chat box. I can see. So how it's incorrect? Maybe the logic is incorrect, or you are saying? So let's see. The logic you have written is same as me. So let me see if it's incorrect. So I guess the logic is correct. And let me check your code. Enter the first value, scanner, value percentage y. So you are just printing, you are not printing any value. You are simply saying printf percentage d is maximum value backslash n. So you have to specify what you are trying to print here. So you have to say printf percentage d is the maximum value backslash n, then close the double inverted commas and then follow the print, put a comma and provide the argument x that has to be printed with that line. So I guess that will correct your problem. So yeah, it's in print. You are not passing the correct argument here. Yeah, fine. So someone is saying, what is the syllabus for this C class? So for us, for these sessions, I will be considering all the topics that are being discussed during this week. So for week 2 by the NPTEL team. So kindly just adhere to those concepts that are being taught in those online lectures. I will be helping you out to solve problems on those topics only. So I'm not defining the syllabus here. So I'm actually following their curriculum. So go ahead on the NPTEL website and find out the syllabus. So someone is saying, I think here must be brackets in if else. So yeah, you can use brackets in if statements here also. It will not change anything because we are only there is only one line after the if statement that already comes into its scope. So someone is asking, suggest any reading purposes for C. I guess he's asking for some reading books or some reading contents. So you can see on the NPTEL website itself, they must have provided some standard books for learning C language. Yeah. So any more questions? So someone is saying, what is the logic behind writing point 2F in scanf or point 2D? So yeah, someone is complimenting. So yeah, let's see what scanf does. Let us see. So yeah, one of the students has queried that what is the logic behind writing point 2F in scanf. So one of the best ways to understand what is going on here is simply write the code and see what is happening. And then we will also see the actual documentation, like what it does it says. So let's see where we are taking a float input. So yeah, maybe we can write a new program for that also. 15.c include stdio.h int main, and let's say we define float x, take in the an intx scanf, maybe percentage f point 2f and x and inty, maybe printf x equals to percentage f backslash n x. And let's see what's the output. So someone is asking their queries regarding NPTEL. So I am not I'm actually not responsible for those stuff. You can ask the NPTEL guys for that. So basically, you can't use this percent point two declaration mm, for integer. That makes sense because there are no floating points in there. And then you can see for percentage f also you can't use that stuff. So basically in scanf you're taking an input. You're not restricting the precision. It will takes up to seven precision bits. So yeah, you don't use point scanf or point 2D anywhere. Fine. So I will stop the recording for this meeting now since time is over. So uh, this session is over. So yeah, see you guys next time. I hope I was able to resolve all of your problems. And let's meet next week, maybe. Fine. So someone is asking, are you the mentor of NPTEL course? No, I am not the mentor. So yeah, I'm not the right person to ask questions related to that course. I'm basically here to help you out in solving problems. Fine. So I may leave this meeting. So you guys, you all can leave the meeting.